Welcome to today's webinar, where we will be taking a close look at Mutual of Omaha's Medicare Supplement e-application. The first question we should ask, though, is why? Why use an e-application? Perhaps you're an agent that has always submitted paper applications, and it's always worked well for you. If there's one reason why you may want to take a look at an e-app, it boils down to this: efficiency. Welcome to today's webinar, where we will be taking a close look at Mutual of Omaha's Medicare Supplement e-application. The first question we should ask, though, is why? Why use an e-application? Perhaps you're an agent that has always submitted paper applications and it's always worked well for you. If there's one reason why you may want to take a look at an e-app, it boils down to this: efficiency. Let's talk about a number of things on this slide, and I think that's going to help to illustrate that point. The first thing is that an e-app ensures accuracy. Think of the first time you filled out a paper application. You may very well know the answer to all of the questions on the application, but there are a lot of fields that you need to fill out. If you do submit a paper application and you miss one of those fields, well, that will not be known to you until that application is reviewed by an underwriter, which could be the following day. They take a look at everything. They notice that you missed a spot. They're going to send you an email stating that they can't issue the application until you provide that response. So you're looking at, from the first time you submitted the application, you supplied the underwriter with the missing response, and then it is then issued, a response time of a couple days, if not 3 or 4. And with an e-application, you can't submit the thing unless it's filled out 100% correctly and is filled out all the way. So the e-app will stop you from missing any important pieces, and that is really just going to help to improve the efficiency, like we said just a short time ago. The second thing is that there's only one signature required. Think about a state like Illinois. Illinois has an application checklist that needs to be submitted along with the basic application. Well, that form and any form from any state that needs to be added to the base submission requires a second signature. And if you submit any of that business, including the states like Illinois and those others, and there's additional forms that are required with another signature, if you submit that on the e-application, your client only needs to sign once. So again, it's all about efficiency. The next thing we have is that there is an agent dashboard. And once we do our demo today, we're going to start on the agent dashboard. This is a bird's eye view of all the applications that you've submitted, have in process, and have been issued. So it's a great way to keep track of everything that you have in your pipeline. If there are additional requirements that an underwriter needs before an application can be issued, it's a great way to see what those items are. You can follow up with your clients and nothing's going to fall through the cracks. Additionally, on the dashboard, you can see client contact information, the current status. There's a lot of very useful information that kind of works like a contact management system, a CRM. So it's a great dual use that you can get out of an e-application. All of the forms are kept up to date. So think about the paper applications you've submitted before. If there's any changes made to an existing application for Medicare Supplement, I know companies will frequently release new products offered through affiliate companies, and that is obviously going to be a new application. Well, if you're doing paper applications, you have to make sure that you always have the most up-to-date forms downloaded onto your PC or your laptop. With an e-application, all of that is taken care of behind the scenes. You don't have to worry about keeping all of those various PDFs constantly updated on your computer. The e-app is also going to flag any errors made. This kind of goes in tandem with the first one. It ensures accuracy. Again, you cannot submit an e-application if it's not completely filled out or if there's any errors in responses that you provided. And the final thing we have, and this is a big one, if you submit business using an e-application, for Mutual of Omaha anyway, you are going to be provided with temporary Medicare ID cards that your client can use as soon as the application is issued. If you submit a paper application to the carrier, those physical ID cards aren't going to be received until the app is issued. They're sent through the mail, and you receive them that way. Well, with e-application business, as soon as that app is issued, those temporary ID cards will automatically be generated. They will be emailed to the client, and they can print them out at home. So if they have an effective date right around the corner and they have a doctor's appointment that they need to go on, well, they can use their temporary Medicare ID cards first. If it was done via paper, that client will unfortunately have to wait until those arrive in the mail to go on that doctor's appointment. So a lot of great reasons to use an e-application. Hopefully this demo today will shine a light and show you how easy it is. I know this technology can be a little intimidating for a lot of people, but hopefully we'll make it look very easy today. And all of these things taken together, it's just a much more efficient way to submit business to the insurance company. Okay. All right. So with that said, let's go into the e-application. And the first thing that we have that we're looking at right now is Mutual of Omaha's broker portal. It's sales professional access. So right after you log in, this should be a view of the home screen. And they make it pretty easy for you. All of the e-applications for all of the products, and we're just going to be demoing the MedSup one today, but all of the e-applications are accessed through the homepage. You can go up here alternatively, so just hover your cursor over the products tab, and depending on what products e-app you want to access, you can go to that products page, and there'll be a sales tools tab on each page where you can also find the links to the e-app. So there is an e-app for Mutual's products on the life side. There's a Medicare supplement one, which obviously we're going to be talking about today. There's one for dental. That's Mutual's newest senior health product. There's one for long-term care. There's one for disability, and there's one for critical illness. So a lot of great e-apps is what Mutual of Omaha is going to be offering to you. We're just going to take a look at the MedSup one today. So I'm going to click on e-applications. MedSup is the first one that is going to show up in the list. Okay, and we won't talk about these, but there are a lot of great additional resources that come along with the e-app itself. Those are going to be listed here. So the first one is a sandbox. If you have not submitted an e-application before, the first place you want to go to is a sandbox. It's essentially a testing environment in which you can practice. You know, I'd hate for you to be on an actual appointment, sitting in a client's living room, going through the e-application for the first time. Maybe you say, you know what, this is the day where I'm finally going to give this a shot. Well, if you're fumbling through the interface of the e-app because it's not something you're super familiar with yet, well, you tend to lose a little bit of credibility that way. So don't do that. If you want to check out the e-app, and of course, that's why we're here today, start with the sandbox in your office. Do a few test cases. It only probably takes 3 or 4, and then you got the hang of it. But do start that, or start there, I should say. And with the sandbox, again, it's not the live site, so you're not going to be submitting any actual applications to the underwriting queue at the company. You can do some dummy names, Mickey Mouse, Daffy Duck, whatever you want to do, just to get the flow of the application process. And then the second link is the quick start guide. That is just kind of a high level overview of how the application works. Okay, so it's going to describe the various statuses that you may see, whether an application is incomplete, you need to go back to it later. It does save its progress as you go through the application. So there's that. It talks about the various signature options, which we'll demo today, and then just some additional information to better explain how the e-app works in total. So a couple great resources there. We're just going to go to start or continue e-app. So this is the link to the live e-app. Okay, so once you've practiced a few in the sandbox and you're ready to go, submit an actual application, you're going to click on that blue button. The first thing that we see is just terms and conditions. So read through that if you want. Once you're done there, you're just going to click on I accept. We're going to load our dashboard. So we talked about this on that PowerPoint slide. This is that bird's eye view of all the applications that you've either previously submitted or you're actively working on now. We got some funky names in here just because this is a testing environment in which we're showing this to you today, but you should see names like John Smith, etc. right over here. You can see that if it is an application that has been submitted already, it should have a policy number that's been assigned to it. So if you need to get back to the underwriter with any additional requirements that they needed before they were able to issue it, once it has been issued and it's in the mail on the way to your client, obviously that's going to be the policy number on the back end. But this is going to be a great identifier if you need to call into the company for compensation purposes, back to underwriting like we said before, and then post-issue, if you need to call into customer service, you would obviously reference the policy number, your client's phone number, the state in which they reside, the date that we started the application. Here's our current status here. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then if we modified it after the initial date. So a lot of great information here, okay? If you have a whole lot of EAP business that you've submitted before, and this is gonna span multiple pages, which you can go back and forth with right here, well, you can just search by first or last name, the policy number if you have it, or phone number or state. So a great way to do it that way. Or if you have a lot of applications that are in process and you're wanting to check what the current status is, you can also select from this drop-down box what the current app status is. So you can very easily see all of the ones that actively need you to work on before you can follow up with the underwriter or with your client. Okay, so what we're going to do right here is just start a new quote or application. Before the application can actually be started, we have to get a quote for our client, right? So we're going to go through this process first. Right here, it's asking if we're doing a dual quote. So if we're going to fill out an application for both a husband and a wife, for example, we would select yes, and then we're just going to get some additional information that's going to pop up, and you can see that we have applicant A, and then we'll have applicant B after that. But just for simplicity's sake today, we're going to select no to dual quote, and we're just going to go in. And much like any online form, you can see that there's an asterisk next to a required field. So we're just going to stick to those to make this a little bit easier today. And we'll just do some basic names here. We'll start with John Smith. For phone number, we'll just do a dummy one. You can see the email address is not required. Based on how we answer certain questions within the EAP itself, this may be a required field. For example, we talked about temporary Medicare ID cards, right? Well, those are emailed once the application has been issued. So if we've selected yes, our client does want temporary Medicare ID cards, well, we need an email address to send those to. So at that point, this will be required, but we'll skip that for right now. For our client's birth date, we'll just do March 1st. And I know this is being recorded. We'll have this on the website for a while, but right now today is February 2nd. So we'll do March 1st, and we're going to do 1953. They turned 65 this year. And we know we got a lot of Nebraska agents under Art Jetter, so we'll do a Nebraska zip code 68106. Okay, and then the requested effective date, we'll also do March 1st. And obviously, we're going to do this here. And then for the household discount, we're actually going to select no to that just to keep the application flowing that much quicker. But you should absolutely ask the right questions to see if your client qualifies for a household discount. That's obviously going to mean a more competitive rate that we can offer to our clients so that we can earn their business. And in Nebraska, we have a 12% household discount from Mutual of Omaha that's very easy to qualify for. All your client needs to say yes to is if they live with a spouse or a domestic partner. If they say yes to that, they automatically qualify for the discount. If they don't live with a spouse or a domestic partner, let's say they live with a sibling, they still can qualify that way too. But in that case, we have to make sure that their sibling or the person that they're living with is at least 60 years old and they've been living together for the previous 12 months. Okay, so again, make sure you're asking those questions. Hopefully we can offer the discounted rate, but for demo purposes today, we're just going to select no. We are going to demo an open enrollment app, so we're going to select yes here. And another great thing that we have not yet highlighted with the e-app is based on how we answer questions, the system is going to provide some additional information. So if we're still learning Medicare supplements, we don't have all of the nitty-gritty details memorized yet, really use this application as a crutch. It should really be there to give you that additional information so that you can establish even more rapport and credibility with your client. If they don't understand and it's very complicated the first time anybody looks at this, what the initial enrollment period dates are for open enrollment, what a guaranteed issue right is, how they may qualify for those. Well, a lot of those are state specific. So you're going to see state specific information, again, based on information that we've applied or that we've selected earlier in the application. So we're going to get information relative to, for example, the household discount in the state of Nebraska. That is not the same across the board. Another great thing, and we talked about this before, if we make any errors on a paper application, we're not going to be aware of that until an underwriter reviews that application and they email us to let us know, and that's why they haven't issued it yet. Well, with the e-app, it's going to tell us all of that as we go through it. Okay, and what we've seen here is that obviously our client cannot qualify for open enrollment and guaranteed issue at the same time. So if we selected yes here and here, we're going to get a box that pops up that says you typed something in wrong. Okay, so we're going to go back. Obviously, in this example, our client, they are in their open enrollment period. They're not going to be applying for a GI right, so we're going to select no there. For gender, we're going to do male. For tobacco use, we're going to say no. This is not a required field, so we're done here, and we can get our quote. We've already spent a couple minutes going through this page, but I'm talking through it. I'm sure that you will go through this yourself, and it shouldn't take you more than 30 seconds or so. Okay, so we're going to get our quote. Wait a second here, and then on this slide, or I'm sorry, page, you can see the plans that are available in my state of Nebraska. We have A, F, high deductible F, Plan G, which is Mutual of Omaha's most competitive plan, and then Plan N. You can see that you can get a high-level overview of the plans that are, the benefits that are included in each plan. That way we can talk through these with our client, and they can make the best decision based on their needs. You can see the rates are going to populate right down below. I'm going to select Plan G. You can see the monthly premium is going to update based on my selection. Okay, we're going to go back to Plan G, and now the application can start. So over here on the left, you can see that I can check my progress very easily as I go through the application. So I just have these 5 or 6 or 7 different sections to fill out. We're going to sign the application after that, and then it's going to be off to the company for underwriting. The first question I have to answer is my client speaking with the power of attorney? I'm going to select no to that. And then to make this process more efficient, we've been talking a lot about efficiency today. A lot of the answers that I've already supplied are going to carry over. So you can see I don't have to type in my client's name again. That's going to carry over from the quote. I'm going to do a dummy street address, 123 Main Street. We're going to say we're in Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, is the mailing address the same as the resident address? We'll select yes. If that was different, we'll select no, and then you can see some additional fields are going to pop up. But again, based on your selections, you're only going to get the fields that require answers based on your client's circumstance. Okay, so it should be a much more efficient process versus the paper app because you only see what needs to be responded to. Phone number here and email address again. And if we want to receive our explanation of benefits online via email, if I select yes, well, you can see at that point an email address would be required. Okay, so it's going to hold your hand the whole way through. I'm going to select no there. Here's our option to get temporary Medicare supplement ID cards. I can select yes, and again, like we talked about, if we do select yes, we'll have to go back to the email address and type one in there, but not a required field. Now we have a green check mark. That is a good thing. That means we filled it out 100% correctly and all the way. If we miss something, let's say we just skip this section entirely and go to household discount, well, you see I don't have a green check mark anymore for this section. we have an exclamation point. That means we missed something and we need to go back, okay? On this page, you can see because I did skip over it and I'm going back, all of the required fields are going to be highlighted, okay? So there's a very easy way to see what I missed. The social security number is actually not a required field. We understand that some seniors, they don't want to supply that social, especially in an online setting like an e-application. It's not required. If they want to supply that during the signature process, they can do it that way, okay? So not a required field. We're going to select yes here. That way it goes away entirely. The Medicare number is not a required field either. And we have been getting a lot of questions about this. As I'm sure a lot of people know, CMS is changing how Medicare numbers are generated. Today, it's very similar to the Social Security number. Well, just to protect against ID theft and that sort of thing, the Medicare number is now going to be completely randomized. And if they don't yet have their ID cards because they're applying during their initial enrollment period, which is typically about 6 months out from their 65th birthday, we can't have any idea what that Medicare number is going to be. We've been getting a lot of questions about that. If your client doesn't yet have their Medicare ID card, don't worry about it. This is not a required field. You can skip over it entirely. For Medicare Part A effective date, you can type it in if you want, or if it's easier, just select the calendar, and we're going to go to March 1st. Okay? And then that is no longer a required field since we've selected our date of March 1st for the field above. For the Part B effective date, we'll do the same thing. And look at that, I already made a mistake. 03/01/2018. That is no longer required either. Okay, again, we're applying during an open enrollment. We're not applying during guaranteed issue. Have I turned 65 yet? Well, in this example, no. I'm just about 30 days out. Again, today's date is February 2nd. So I will turn 65 soon, but did I turn 65 in the last 6 months? The answer to that question is no. And then I've enrolled in Part B. It's not yet effective, but I did enroll into it. And again, the effective date is going to carry over from this field right up here. Okay, looks good to me. We're going to select next. Now we got a green check mark. That's a good thing. That means we haven't missed anything yet. The household discount is going to carry over from the quote. So you can see that we selected no here. I would hope that your clients are qualifying for the household discount. That's going to be a savings of about 12% if they're going with the Mutual of Omaha plan, or 7% if they live in a state where the 7% household discount is offered. But just for demo purposes, we're going to leave that as a no. Okay, we're going to select next. Looking good so far. Now we're on a previous or existing coverage. The effective date is going to carry over. Is my client covered by Medicare Assistant through the Medicaid program? I'm going to select no there. For a lot of these, just for simplicity's sake, we're going to say no. We don't have another MedSup or MedSelect policy in force. Are they covered by an MA plan, an HMO, or a PPO? We're going to select no again. If we do select yes to any of these, you can just see that at that point, we're going to get some additional fields that pop up. Start dates, effective dates, end dates, that sort of thing. Okay, and then any other health insurance within the past 63 days. Well, in this example, our client is turning 65. They're applying for the first time during their open enrollment period. It is a good probability that they're coming off of a group plan. They had an employer paid plan while they were working. They're now retiring. They're purchasing their own health insurance through Medicare now. So this is likely going to be a yes. But again, we're just going to select no to keep it moving. Okay, we'll select next. So far, so good. This is an open enrollment application. So there are no health questions beyond tobacco use. If it was an underwritten application, maybe our client is 70, they're looking to replace existing coverage to get more affordable monthly premium rates. Well, obviously they have to go through underwriting in that scenario, so you would see a whole list of health questions. Here, it's just an open enrollment application. We're only being presented with the questions that the system needs answers to, so you can see here it's very simple. Okay, we'll just select next there, really easy there. Now we're up to payment information. For this, there are 3 payment signature options. The first one is a wet signature, and that's what you see listed right here. That's where, even though we're doing an e-application, we can still print from our computer in the office the completed application. It'll type everything nice and neat into what looks, for all intents and purposes, a paper application. If our client wants to sign with an ink pen, just like they would do on a traditional paper application, well, that would be yes right here. That's a wet signature. And there, we're still going to fax or mail the paper application into the company. We can do it that way if our client wants to do it that way. We're going to select no, though, because what I want to show is our other two options. There's two additional ones. There's voice signature. That means our client is going to call a 1-800 number. They're going to listen to a number of prompts. That's essentially just a computerized voice that's going to walk them through that. Well, that whole call, it's about 5 minutes long, is recorded, and that audio recording serves as a signature. At the end of that read-through by the computer voice, our client is going to audibly speak into their phone receiver. Yes, I agree. Again, that full recording serves as a signature. That file is sent to the company, and that'll be kept on file in the underwriting department. And then the third one, which is the most common or popular signature option, is e-signature. And once this is completed on our side, our client needs to go to a third-party website. They're going to be given an authorization code, which I'll show you here in just a second. They will use that authorization code to gain entry to the website. They'll review everything on a web page, much like we do here, or on the voice signature side. And then they're going to click I accept. Again, that's done on that website. And then that is automatically received in the underwriting department. That's e-signature, and that's our third signature option. We'll show both of those two, the e-signature and the voice signature, a little bit later on, just a couple of minutes from now. But for right now, it's only asking if we want to do wet signature. We're going to select no to that. Here you can see the premium information is going to populate. We're going to do initial payment options. We have a couple different ones. We have automatic bank withdrawal, or if you're submitting e-app business, okay, there's a credit card option. Credit card is only available for e-app. If you're doing a paper application, they must do automatic bank withdrawal or paper check. But if we want to do credit card, it's only available for e-app, and it's only available for the initial payment. It is an option right here. We'll do automatic bank withdrawal. For renewal, you can see credit card is not available here, but they can still do automatic bank withdrawal, or they can choose to mail a paper check into the company if they want. We'll do the same for both. Is the account owner the same as the applicant? We'll select yes to that. We'll do a checking account, and for a routing number, we'll just have to type one in, and I hope that's correct. Okay, perfect. And then we'll do a dummy account number. Okay, and then our client name has to be the same. It was John Smith, I believe. Okay, monthly premium is going to show up for the renewals as well. And then Mutual of Omaha gives your client two options in which to pay the renewal premium. It's got to come out on either the 1st or the 15th of the month. We'll select first. We'll select next. And we got another green check mark, which is great. And here's our producer page. Okay, so any other policies that we've sold our client that are still in force, any other health insurance that is in force, or which is not in force, I'm sorry. We have a couple different delivery options. It can go either straight to the client, or it can come to me as their agent and I can deliver it to them. We'll select that one. And we're just certifying that we were truthful in all of the answers that we've supplied to the e-app. I interviewed my client myself, and then we're going to do the city and state in which the application is signed. We'll just type in Omaha, Nebraska again. The producer number should auto-populate. We'll select next. This will probably leave blank just because this is an open enrollment application, but if this was an underwritten application, and maybe we're worried about a couple prescription drugs my client has taken, and we're worried about a decline in that circumstance. Well, here's our place where we can state our case to the underwriter. So this is completely optional for you, but there is an option, just like it is on the paper app, to write a few notes. So that should be it. we're continuing to review. This is only popping up just because we're in a demo environment. This should not come up for you once you submit a live application. That should be totally fine. So just ignore that. Here's our review page. So everything that we typed into the application, we have a chance to review that with our client. Just make sure everything is good to go. As you know, if you've submitted MedSup business before, there's a few required documents that we have to give to our client before we can fill out an application with them. And the eApp makes these really easy to give to our client. You can click on each of these, and you can also email them directly to your client from the eApp interface. You don't have to go into an email client. You don't have to save all of these different versions. If you write in a number of states, you don't have to save a whole bunch of different versions of these PDFs onto your computer. You can do all of it right through the eApp interface. That makes it very easy. If you want to print them out, well, if you click on one like I just did, the outline of coverage, you can do that from your office right here on this page itself. So very easy to do that way. Okay, so I think we're good. We're going to hit submit. Okay, and here's the 2 additional signature options that are being demoed for you today. If your client wants to do e-signature, this is the authorization code. So we have 1408276. We're going to give this to our client along with this URL, signyourmedsupeapp.com. So they're going to go to this website themselves. You're not going to do that on your end. They're going to do that on their side. So sign your MedSup app, not eApp, signyourmedsupeapp.com. They're going to type in this authorization number along with their date of birth. That should allow them to gain access to the site. They're going to read through all of the disclosures. They're going to ensure that the answers were filled out correctly. They're going to select I accept, and that is an e-signature. I apologize that I can't demo it here. We do not have a testing version of that website. And then finally, the voice option is right here too. So if they do want to voice sign, we understand that not all people are comfortable with websites and that sort of thing, especially when they're typing in sensitive information. So if they want to call and do it via voice recording, they can call this 1-800 number. And again, this is going to be something that they do on their end, but they call this 1-800 number. Again, that call is recorded and that audio file serves as a signature option. Okay, so a lot of options to submit business. Hopefully it works for all of the various scenarios in which you will find yourselves in. And then finally, before we wrap up today, I just want to talk a little bit about the dental product. So Mutual of Omaha now offers dental insurance in most states. And what's great is that for the first time, you can apply for a dental insurance policy straight from the same eApp interface. And it's very easy to do. It's a guaranteed issue product. So if your client wants it, they can afford the premium and all of that sort of thing, well, you got yourself an additional sale. And because it's guaranteed issue, the application process is very quick. Okay, you can see here that I have done nothing up until this point on the dental side. It's going to automatically populate based on answers that I've given to the application here on the quoting side to give us the rates. So it makes it that much quicker for our client. There are 2 plans available. We'll just go with the preferred plan here to show you what it looks like. And we'll hit apply now. And you can see it looks a little bit different. Looks a little bit newer, which is a good thing. This should be what the MedSup eApp looks like in about a year's time. I know they're working on that right now. But all of the fields that are duplicated are going to carry over like before with zip code. So you don't have to type that in. You can see the plan information is right here. There's an optional vision writer that you can add as well via checkbox. Scrolling down, just personal information, all of that's going to carry over. Okay, and then we just have to answer a few questions. First of all, would you like a temporary ID card? If we select yes, well, then we need to get that pesky email address again. So we'll just select no there. Okay, we just need to select which state we're signing this application in. We'll select next. Okay, and it works much the same. So you see we have a green check mark again. Don't worry about this. We're in a demo site. Are we covered by other dental insurance? So we're up to 2 questions we had to answer so far. Just, do you want a temporary ID card, and then any other coverage? We selected no, so that makes this really simple. And then much like the MedSup e-app, we have a few additional questions right here. Just for demo purposes today, we'll say we'll print for wet signature. And then payment, we're going to carry the same information over from the MedSup e-app. They probably or likely are going to pay it the same way. So we'll just do bank account information. Okay, we'll just have to type that in again here. It's a checking account. We got our routing number and our account number. And we'll do an automatic deduction for the payment, the first of the month. Okay, and then we just need to review it. Again, we have our notes, and we can print for e-signature. Oops, I forgot a box. See, it'll check to make sure you filled it out correctly. And that should be it. Okay, and it will take you back here. It's taking me back to the beginning of the dental app. But let me click on this tab. And then if we go back into the dashboard, we should see our additional application, and it's right there, John Smith. So you can see it's pending signature. Our client needs to e-sign it or voice sign it, depending on what's most comfortable for them. But please go back and check, make sure, again, nothing's fallen through the cracks. This should change to submitted for e-signature, which is what you see on these 2 examples right above. That's what you want to see. That means it's off to underwriting. So I hope you found a lot of great use for the e-application today. It's all about efficiency. It's a great way. Nothing's going to fall through the cracks. Your policies are going to get issued quicker, which means your client can use them when they need them, and you're going to get paid on it a lot quicker versus paper applications. So there's a lot of great practical ways to use an e-application. Okay. If you do have any questions on what we reviewed today, please contact your marketer at Art Jetter & Company. You can see the 1-800 number on this slide. You can also email them at seniorhealth@jetter.com. Hope everyone has a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.